So, Dave, I've known you how many years?
We got drafted in 2008.
15?
We're old.
Going on 15 years. So, David Vobora is a guy that, like, you know, when you get to college, say, and you meet the first person at your dorm. Shout out to Tom Sandy, who I played with. But, like, there's that one guy that you meet and you click with right away, and you're like, all right, we're in this together. Me and Dave were those guys I felt like early in St. Louis in 2008, drafting the same class.
Yours a little before me.
Yeah, so Dave bears the title Mr. Irrelevant, but I always, whenever somebody talks about Mr. Irrelevant, I'm like, dude, one of the most relevant people I know was drafted last in the NFL in 2008. Like, incredibly relevant, incredibly important work you've done after football, and you had a hell of a career. So I want to welcome David Vobora to the podcast.
I'm stoked to be with you, man.
Yeah, dude, it's great.
I've been in town for a couple of days, and it's been great to see you and your family, man. And this show is something that I've always been a fan of since you launched it.
I was psyched. You should tell me that earlier, dude. Like, well, you know, like part of the stress of this show is like, do my friends like this show?
Maybe the most important part.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there quietly liking the show.
Hey, man, if you looked at my Instagram, you know I liked it.
Mm-hmm. You're the man.
I'll tell you this though: the first pick of the draft for the Rams, and then the last pick, like rookie camp and times, it was just like I always seemed to be like habits, like whether you're in the ice tub together or whatever, like our habits were similar. You know,
you'd be like, oh, you're here too?
Well, and not just inside of Rams Park.
Yeah.
And so we ended up having some fun.
That's true. We frequented the same areas. We ran hard back in the day, man. We were saying what a blessing it was to be drafted to the St. Louis Rams. Now, you could not tell the 23-year-old me that.
Right.
Not to say I wasn't excited the first, you know, when they called my name, I was excited, but I also knew it was going to be a big challenge because the team wasn't great.
Sure.
And the city was also not like, you know, St. Louis is a great
baseball town. It's a baseball town.
The team picking one was Miami. So the delta between those two rookie experiences, I think I'd have been dead. Honestly,
I think Jake Long handled it.
He got that handled, dude.
Compared to how Chris Long might have. Yeah.
What was your first thought when you heard St. Louis? And did you want to go undrafted?
So, yeah, I mean, you know, you're slated as a 5th, 6th round pick. Like he rolls on, and sometimes it's better to be able to choose, you know, where you're going to actually go and have a better suited fit. But Scott Linehan was our coach at the time. He was an Idaho Vandal. Right.
Oh, right.
Go Vandals. So like there was some, he believed in me, but like there was that affinity too. Yeah. So I was like, all right, this is a good fit. And I was stoked to be, I mean, most of my friends were no joke drunk and passed out because it had been going on. Like draft party started that Sunday early.
You guys do the draft right.
Oh man.
What's the name of the city there?
It's Moscow.
Oh yeah. It's
not Moscow.
It's Moscow. The only Moscow we like right now.
True. Yeah. Facts.
Honestly, that place. Yeah, the Russians, when the Russians are fucking up, the people of Moscow are like, all right, we'll take it from
here. All right. You got to go to the Kibby Dome one day, by the way.
I would love to. Can you tell me what's going on in that motherfucker? Because it's one of the most unique. It's like they built it to be a warehouse, and then there were
looks like an airplane hangar.
Yeah, what's going on in there?
There's been some renovations. So
okay, let me look this one.
I tell you this, man. There's a stench. We call it the Kibby cough. Like you exercise, much less play a football game inside of the Kibby Dome, and your lungs, there's carcinogens. I'm just going to call it.
Asbestos dome.
But no, man, I always think about, like, you bought that Mercury Grand Marquis, the baby blue one.
I did.
And we would roll around St. Louis as rookies, like trying to be incognito. And there's no chance that, like, we were that.
Yeah.
And we... I feel like there was a couple of times, like Milwaukee in training camp, where like the things that we had to do, especially as rookies on a defense, we had 4 rookies.
Yeah.
So we had to do things for the veterans that were just ridiculous.
Older league back then.
Yeah. Which.
Oh yeah, we had to sing together.
Yeah. Like in the cafeteria. This is like Michael Phelps Olympics year.
Yeah.
Remember that was the cool part about camp.
Yeah.
But we sang "You Lost That Love and Feeling."
We did a duet, which was a genius thing, because if you're like going to get drafted, you know you're probably going to have to sing for the vets. You got to do a duet. Nobody like Hard Knocks guys always miss this. They're always getting out there trying to carry the whole show, dude. Get a co-host.
I think that got us off the hook early.
Definitely off the hook.
But the rookie show is where you came to inform.
Yeah. So the rookie show, and honestly, when you think back, the rookie show was maybe the first time in my life when, looking back, the 37-year-old me would be like, yeah, he could have a podcast one day. You know, like, because we definitely had to be creative. We had to be creative that night, dude.
The effort that this rookie class, shout out to 2008 Rams rookie class, if anyone's listening.
So
The amount of emphasis, like we would do doubles and then we'd come in and like plan. Like there was a run of show.
But
like
people
we
gotta
had
understand what a rookie show is. Like,
Tell them why the rookie show exists.
So you get to campus, so to speak. And by the way, we're in Mequon, Wisconsin. Concordia University. The weather's nice, but back in the day, there were real two-a-days.
Yeah.
I mean, your pads are still wet from the morning practice.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping on a little cot next to Adam Carricker, dude. They just were like, oh, these two white guys will probably get along.
That's a big man, too.
You know, he's snoring and shit. And we're walking to everything. Anyways, at night, we were tasked with figuring out how to do a rookie show, like the last night of camp. Yeah. And the vets, as soon as you get there, like, that rookie show better be good. Like, it's kind of like they're gonna beat you up if it's not
it's
good.
a long tradition. I don't know how it's evolved to today, but like some of
they're doing rookie shows.
Probably not, because I heard stories. The chaos that had ensued left us with a standard that was beyond what we were prepared for.
We were hearing about old NFL things going on in these rookie shows, so we had to.
Well, Chris wrote a rap.
Yeah,
he completed it. He finished it at the very end with a rap. Tell us about it.
So I don't remember the words, but at the end I had to like, there was a punchline, and it was something like, let's get the fuck out of Concordia or something, because it was the last. And I remember people cheering.
Well, there's that.
What was it about?
Do you remember the part about one of our teammates?
Was it one of our teammates' unit?
Yeah.
And how small it was?
Yeah.
Well, so they get up, they make you get up there, and they're like, better be good, rookie. I'm like, oh, so we can like at all costs? And they're like, at all costs. And you're like, so I can make fun of you? And they're like, yeah, fucking rookie, you're gonna make fun of us. So I get up there and I'm just sniping people.
Dude, shots,
I'm sniping
fired.
People. I'm sniping,
smoke.
Talking about this guy's dick. This guy had a dick like a button. What was the?
We won't name names.
It was like a Monopoly thimble.
It's a piece he didn't want.
No, like, and I was like sitting in the shower one day. Not that I was looking, but this was a big guy, and I was like, going in the rookie show.
But he the way he landed it was like, it was 8 Mile stuff. Like it was for our rookie class. It was like Hunger Games, you know. And he let it out. It was so good.
Fuck, we went a little far on a guy or two, but we did the whole award show. Like, you know, it was a rap. The rap was like the end of it, but by the end, like, I could have farted on stage.
Didn't matter
because of how great we were, man. Yeah. We did the Rammies, which is this like award show where we gave out
like kangaroo court.
There was this guy, and he was dating chicks that were like dating other guys' girlfriends and stuff. And you know, this is survival mode, man. We're in survival mode. Like, we're like, I'm not getting fucking booed, dude. I remember my freshman year of college, I went up and did this skit and it was terrible. I got booed. And I will never, ever let that happen again. Yeah, so I came to play. There was this guy that was dating promiscuous women. We gave him the Captain Save-A-Ho award. People were going nuts, dude. And the guy basically had to get escorted up there by the other guys on the team.
He wouldn't come, He
didn't want to come up and get his Rammy, but we had all types of awards. We were piss drunk back there, dude.
Yeah, that was the cool
Behind the curtain. It was an auditorium.
Yeah.
So guys are sitting, you know, like 100 feet up. And yeah.
I'd be curious to know about other teams' rookie shows. Not just today, but just like...
I don't think they're as good as that one.
That was so...
Because we put a lot into it. And then in the morning you wake up hungover and got to go to practice and then get on the flight back to St. Louis. But
we hadn't even seen like a female in like...
No, dude. No,
So we were excited to get back to civilization.
The wireless internet at that point in 2008 wasn't as good. Like, I don't think porn was uploading the same way.
Dial-up was
Dudes
better.
were in their room.
Yeah.
It might as well have been in Shawshank, minus that scene. But, like, you don't want to go over there. But the dudes were in the room just probably, like, AOL doc, you know, like... Was there even free porn in 2008? You had to have a DVD.
I don't know, man. At that point, I know that I needed to get back to St. Louis.
We did, and we, you know, we went to Milwaukee one night. We had all this, like, we wanted to party, right?
Yeah,
we wanted to
big
go
time.
out and get drunk because we were 23. We never do something like that now, but we circled the night off, and Milwaukee was an hour away, and that was our
Big
I don't
deal.
know, like Paris. We couldn't wait to go. And we had all these big plans. We got a couple hotel rooms, and we started pre-gaming. And next thing you know, I woke up in all my clothes the next
We
morning.
didn't leave.
We didn't even leave the hotel room. So we got so fucked up at the hotel, we didn't make it out. And that was camp, man. But we lost a lot
Yeah, it
in
was
St.
tough
Louis.
years,
Like, what was that like for you? Because I don't think we ever, like, really talked it out like mature human beings. I think we compartmentalized it.
Yeah, but I'll say this, like the crew that we had was pretty special. I know, again, didn't necessarily translate, but like it makes it better when you're suffering with people and bros. Like it almost galvanized us in a way, and I wish that we could have seen
wish it
success.
galvanized us into doing something.
Yeah.
We were all
I know,
galvanized.
we were so
just running
galvanized.
in place.
We were together out to dinner and doing other things.
It galvanized us to Morton's.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this, like I still think that locker room and every locker room that you're a part of, it's just like
much
guys
love.
work so hard. Like that's what people don't realize. And I'm sure they assume, but they don't know what it looks like. And like you said something to me this morning while we were like eating breakfast, it was like, man, over my career, I had to look for less extrinsic motivation and more intrinsic.
Yeah.
And that's like, dude, like that's valuable in life for anybody.
Yeah.
But for you had to kind of redefine that over your career.
Right.
And I know I've done that post-career, which is a difficulty for a lot of players, period. Hard stop no matter what sport.
Yeah, it's tough.
But that's your brother's recently, right? Like
Yeah,
going through that
my
stuff
brother's
too.
going through that, so I kind of know what he's going through.
Yeah.
You got to like reinvent yourself, but that's, I think, the thing people miss. And when you talk about the locker room, I think some people imagine, I played on 2 Super Bowl teams. People are like, man, you guys are probably still really tight. I'm like, yeah, I love those guys. Oh, that D-line in Philly was the best. I'm like, it was a really good D-line, but there was one that nobody saw, and we are really close. All the guys in St. Louis, whether it was the Spags years or the Fisher years, guys that came after you, before you, guys that like, we were talking about James Hall, Leroy Glover, like Fred Robbins, people like that. I got so much love for those guys, and probably a lot of it has to do with the hardship.
Yeah.
Because
You had to soldier up, man. You had to
we had
figure
to,
it
dude.
out.
We had to. It was a lot of stress. I think I was probably going through a lot in St. Louis, dude. And I didn't realize it.
No, but it forged you. And like that's even what you do with we climbed Kilimanjaro together. Like, and it's a little microcosm of like, dude, it's a privilege to experience something like that. Mm-hmm. But there's difficulties that come up, and like that's why I think about our Kili crew and the closeness of that.
Yeah.
And because it was forged, right? And so those pinnacle moments are badass, but the real reality is like the people that you have to get in the trenches with.
Those are the people that because you feel like you know them. Like
they've seen you at your worst.
How many bachelor parties you've been to? Like 15 dudes, like all that shit. They used to be cool to hear about. Like I can't wait for that. Now I would be petrified if somebody told me I had to go to a bachelor party. I'm so fucking tired from doing this podcast. Sorry, I'm too tired to go to New Orleans. But like, how tight are you with the dude that you met at the bachelor party?
Not.
But you could go on a 3-day, 4-day, really tough, climb with some cats, and you'd be lifelong friends. And that's because of the hardship, So now, what the fuck are you doing? Tell people what you're doing.
Man, that syncs perfect because the veteran side of that's like pretty synonymous in mindset and approach, right? And so, when I got out of the league 2012, like honest to God, and my story, I'll sum it up quick, but he knows like I didn't cope well. I had a shoulder injury, and then opiates led to more pills and more things, and it was just like, and I ended up in a detox, and then ended up in rehab, but it was the best thing that could have happened, And like for me, that was the like catapult being pulled back for more important things. And I had a chance to come back. Like Spags went to New Orleans, and when they called, and this is a true story, it was like picking up the phone and knowing that like you needed to break up with your girlfriend. It was a heavy moment, but I was like clear, like, dude, all right, it's time. Yeah. And I was like, and I told him, I was like, I think I'm going to retire. And he's like, you got snaps left. What are you doing? Yeah. And I appreciated that. It was flattering, but I'm like, no, it's time. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't have a plan, right? Being Mr. Irrelevant and trying to figure it out. Like I had no It was just I had to be fully committed
every minute to minute.
Yeah, like the front office guy could be there at the door after practice, and you knew that as soon as he made eye contact with you, like that was it. I saw it. You saw it all the time.
The Grim Reaper. Who was the Grim Reaper? Was it Ray Agnew?
I love Ray. Ray was the man.
Well, I love a lot of the Grim Reapers.
No, I know that's difficult.
For people
right?
at home, the Grim Reaper is the person that comes and gets your iPad.
Yeah.
Like when he walks around the corner at the end of camp, everybody's super nervous.
When we played for the Rams, we played Kansas City our last preseason game our rookie year. On the 40-minute flight back to St. Louis, the front office was cutting guys on the plane. I've never seen anything so cutthroat.
One of my friends got cut on the.
Dude, guys are like pretending to be asleep. Guys are like crying. Like, and this is no bullshit because that's real, man. Like these guys have worked their whole life, and rookies that are like, I don't know if I'm gonna get picked up. It's they don't know. But anyway, like
no, that's stay there though.
That's the reality. Like I'll tell another reality. When I actually became a starter in the league, which was cool, like
really
as a Mr. Irrelevant, but like
we had fun, man.
Yeah, man. Like on the field, I'd look at Chris and he'd smile. We'd be in Seahawks stadium and look around and be like,
one of my best NFL friends here.
There's a couple of kids out here like having fun. But
when you started, what happened?
So the week before was the last preseason game. Chris Draft, linebacker, amazing human being, nicest guy. Like he has asthma, and we were in Cincinnati, and there was an RV fire in the parking lot. His asthma kicked up. Dude, I got in. I made a sack, a pass breakup, and then a tackle for loss, and there was a 3 and out. I made all 3 plays. You were definitely not playing in this game, by the way.
So hold on a second, though. There was an RV fire.
Out in the parking lot.
Like what happened to the Dolphins down there in the parking lot. You see that car blew up?
Yeah.
So Draft is out there. Why is he in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Why is he out there?
He's not in the parking lot. The smoke came into the stadium.
Stop it, dude.
Bro, this is true story. And it kicked up his asthma. He couldn't breathe. So I got in the game. And as a strong side linebacker, and I made these plays, and there was the next morning, it was cuts, right? And he was cut, and I was the starter because he was more expensive than me. Like, that's a cold heart. And he was like a mentor to me. He was somebody I'd like glean wisdom from. He's been in the league 13 years. I'm like, what do you know, man? What do I need to know? And you talk about the reality that I felt like them cutting people on the plane ride back was gnarly. But like that Chris Draft move for me, I was just like, I remember Torrey Holt used to say that stuff to me all the time. Like, hey man, document everything. Like you have to be your own,
Yeah, dude. You're the ultimate independent contractor that people associate with a team, and you do have teammates, but nobody cares about your like your future except for you.
Right.
And that's nuts, dude. That like the dynamic, first off, could he sue Winnebago?
Fair. Was it a Winnebago?
I mean, whatever it was. We got to go back and check the cameras. But like just the dynamic of competing with somebody who's a mentor.
Yeah.
I always talk about James Hall on this show, and you know how tight me and James got. But I don't know if you knew this, but first year James wasn't talking to your boy.
I'll tell you a James Hall story.
Yeah.
My first start against the Miami Dolphins as a rookie, when they were doing their Wildcat, that was the like prime Wildcat. Mm-hmm. It was when they rolled it out, which was like, I'm playing middle linebacker. So it involves a lot of checks and calls. Yeah. And Hazlitt was our D coordinator. Love Haz.
Yeah, he
was old school. And he just reamed me. You come to the sideline and, you got motherfucked like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And
hobble over.
James Hall needed to, like, you guys will have to tap, like, you hear the call. So I know that you know that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't do it. And I looked at him, and James Hall had this way of just staring in your eyes, staring through your eyes, and never saying or giving you anything.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I got pissed. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to do my job. I need you to do this. And he just gave me that.
Bro. James Hall, he didn't talk to me for a year.
Dude.
Our lockers were next to each other.
James sees this, bro. I'm still scarred. I'm still traumatized from that moment on the 12-yard line in Edward Jones Stadium.
But that look, bro, only he can give it. It is the most hollow. I was in Detroit before I got here, motherfucker. like
I know how to be soulless.
His eyes said, I was in Detroit, kid.
You don't know.
I'm not interested in the call.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my job.
Yeah.
And you need to go talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it was like, he was a great vet when it came to leading by example that first year. And that's what I needed. I didn't need somebody to tell me all the answers. I needed to watch, and I needed to go through it.
Yeah.
And there were challenges for me my first year and a half. And fucking James Hall ended up being one of my biggest like mentors. He ended up being a big brother to me. Once, like I forget what the day was, but he just started trusting me or respecting me. And then we had this relationship. I don't know what it was.
Was it a play you made?
I'm not saying he didn't talk to me. Like,
no.
Listen, like him and Freddie took me out to we went to the Ritz-Carlton bar on a Friday night in Seattle. Like when we went out there for the 2-day trip, it wasn't for me. Having a vodka cranberry on a Friday night, getting ready to play. But like, he just did. I was such a rookie to him, and maybe that's the old school NFL, But by year 2, there was something that clicked, and all of a sudden he was legitimately like not just a leader by example, but like my biggest
champion, dude.
Asset in the building.
Yeah,
like somebody that you can hang your hat on. My dad is a big part of my life, right? Like growing up, being able to answer all the questions for me. Mm-hmm. He's not going to ensure success for me, but he can tell me what the roadmap looks like.
Yeah.
And, getting there, it's like you almost need another father figure, dude. When you're a rookie, man.
It's exactly what you need.
You need somebody that like, in the old NFL, there were guys like that. But now the way it is.
Bro, my locker mate was Leonard Little.
Yeah.
Dude, the scariest dude you could ever be.
But very nice.
But the kind
he would talk to me rookie
taught you
year.
lessons, yeah.
He would talk to me rookie year.
No, the whole experience, like, again, back to that locker room, I know we talked about it earlier, but just the special nature of the connections and the depth that things grew. And back, like, to what I'm doing now is, like, I the gym, for me, I always felt like I was moderately talented.
Tell people what the gym is.
Yeah, so
I've talked about it on the pod, but you got to hear it from Dan.
No doubt. So for me, it was like the gym was my sanctuary. It was where I could take like moderate talent and like be better and reach bigger potential. You know what I mean? Like, and so through that, when I started a gym in Texas post football, I was training combine guys, getting ready for the NFL guys. Like it was going well, like it had a bunch of influence. I was training the Staubach family, like having like, it was great. And then I met a Staff Sergeant Travis Mills, a quadruple amputee, and asked him if he'd work out with me. He was like, dude, you're an asshole. I don't have arms and legs.
Yeah.
I'm like, check, but like, I think you should come,
There's a way.
And he came and pretty soon everybody else lost an excuse of like, oh, how come my hand may sore, you know? And he was doing big sled pulls and doing different things. And then I had 5 guys and 10, and then and I wasn't charging anybody. Right. And I was actually sleeping sometimes at the gym because I couldn't manage it all, man. And one night I came home at like 2 a.m. This is a true story. My wife had like that one interrogation light on the kitchen table. Yep. She was sitting there.
Sit.
And I came around the corner, and she goes, do I have to be missing an arm or a leg for you to put the same type of focus and attention on me and our family? And I was like, fuck, dude. Like, it was one of those, like
rocking a hard place,
man. And you know what she said, which was Spartan. It was badass, dude. Shout out to my wife, man. Special. She said, there's no mission without a margin. Like, I never heard that before. And I was like, and she's like, you got to make a choice. And so I closed the for-profit. I was like, all right, I'm going to trust this ride, And that was 8 years ago. And it's been great, man. We've raised over $15 million. We put over 400 people through our 9-week program, which is like, it just redefines their life, man. The people think it's the gym and the physical and spinal cord injuries, amputees, most of which are veterans, first responders, which is like, I come from background in the military, 3 generations, and I played football, had the privilege of that. But I always feel like, man, what if I would have gone and served? What would that look like? Mm-hmm. So to do it in the gym and give these people an opportunity to integrate back into society, like have a way to share their story, and then they come back as trainers after they graduate our program, and they can earn money by doing and paying this thing forward. Like, it's a pretty cool ecosystem, and to me, it's hard work. I said this earlier in an interview, like you are very involved in Waterboys to the point of climbing the actual mountain.
Yeah, fuck, man.
You got to climb again this year.
Yeah, I'm going again in February.
You're an idiot. But I do
You
believe
too.
I am
You
too. I know.
fucking idiot. Doing all this good stuff.
Yeah, but it is. It's like, dude, and it's been such a powerful thing for my kids. I got 3 kids, 9, 7, and 2. Like, especially 9 and 7, the girls, they're best friends. Like, they asked for a wheelchair Barbie for Christmas.
Yeah.
They're stoked about, like, you know, their friends coming over missing legs, and they talk to them about the stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been incredible, but at the same time, you know, like, you're doing life with people who have experienced some wild stuff, man.
How's that changed you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of times that, like, dude, you can only do so much for someone, like that lead to horse of water, and in between that is like, dude, I feel like the ecosystems that we have lived in football have been kind of culturally replicated in the gym. And you see people start to bridge that gap between a veteran and a civilian because the through line is their trauma. Mm-hmm. And, like, I've seen amazing things happen. I got to marry 2 of our athletes this past 2 years ago. And, like, those are the things that I'm like, man, I'm just really stoked to have started something that's now got this larger ripple effect. I think the same thing is true, not just with what you're doing in Africa, but the people. I mean, our Kili group thread that we have it's the best, dude. I love, like, it's crazy that it's still a couple years, 3 years out, 4 years out.
Yeah, well, those were some years that just kind of
yeah, those were hard
lagged.
years.
I can't figure out which one.
But yeah, it's crazy because that's the bond that you share, and
No
so to do
question.
the stuff at the gym is awesome and feels good.
In kind of like a sidebar about the whole thing, you know, whether it's Kili or whether it's your gym, like, I think being a part of a team, you know, just coming back to not feeling alone,
No
like
doubt.
having a purpose and not feeling alone.
No doubt.
And, like, I feel like people get that opportunity at your gym.
Yeah.
And hopefully the vets and the athletes too that we bring together on Kili feel the same thing, because, you know, you just talked about the group chat. All of a sudden I got 15 friends that are always fucking, they're always typing.
Yeah.
You know, like, you open your phone, I got 17 text messages, and it's a good thing. It's like, bro, it's nice to have somebody's out there. And
Well, you got people like,
your loneliest,
you got like
or
Bo
your
Allen
fucking-
and
yeah.
Jason Kelsey.
Like, your friends are here, dude.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I got a bunch of new friends. And what's really fun is, like, watching people make friends. Like, watching your buddies, you know, kind of connect.
Dude, I loved meeting Rob Ninkovich.
Yeah.
Or Haloti Nada. Like, those are people that I see and talk to, like, every week.
Hell yeah, dude. That was a great class, too.
Yeah.
Who do you remember was on that class? So Haloti retired at the top.
Yeah, that was epic. Like, I don't think people realize Chris was pushing Haloti from the back, and then our guide Orca had his poles, and he was pulling him from the front.
Yeah.
Actually, hey, here's
he
a
had
fun
flag in his bag.
Yeah, that said,
You know, I'm done or whatever.
I'm retiring on top.
And so I'm thinking, like, well, number one, I want Big Cat to retire. Love this guy.
No doubt.
Number 2, like, one of the best human beings ever. We call him God Emperor because he's just rule the world, man. Like,
presence.
His presence is so big, dude. He legitimately was set on getting up to the top. And when we were sitting on the rim, which is kind of a false summit, I was like, yeah, man, I'm with you till the end. Like, and it was kind of like to encourage him. But then when I realized 15 minutes later, is I'm like really with him to the end. Like,
you're gonna push him.
We're gonna go
physically
together. It's like this Ford Ranger has to get up the mountain.
Just so you realize, like, that last bit is like a couple hours, but like
it's the worst couple hours.
It is, because that reach of altitude is so significant
at that point.
Yeah.
So Haloti was up there, and we saw him later get kind of like he was getting gurneyed down.
The like rickshaw cart that he blew out because he was so big.
Like 12 Tanzanian dudes.
I've never seen anything like it. I wish we would have got shots of that. That was remarkable. Like, normally you'd have 3 or 4 people operating this. There was 12.
Yeah, because we've seen like middle-aged women go down on the fucking mountain with like an Achilles.
Yeah,
and it takes 2 dudes to just get her down. And Haloti had a whole caravan. It was incredible. And this was mid, because we said Kelsey was there, Bo was there. Kelsey had just come down the mountain, and we were arguing. And I've talked about this argument on the pod before. But
it was beyond epic.
Kelsey was so mad
that Chris talked him into this.
He was mad. He was mad that the mountain was high. I was like, bro, did you see the mountain? Did you Google the mountain? Did you read about the trip? Like, what part of 19,500 feet with snow on top of it did you not like
think was gonna feel like that?
we got down in the mess tent and we're arguing and shit. And I'm pretty sure the only thing that kept us from like actually like hating each other that day
lack of energy.
Was Halodi's caravan.
Yeah, that's
like,
that too.
like we were like, motherfucker. He's like, you didn't warn me. And I was like, warn you? Use a fucking computer. And then somebody's like, Halodi's here. And we just stopped what we were doing and walked outside. Yeah. This guy's coming down on a fucking... They're like running him down.
It's biblical, you guys. Yeah. It's biblical at this point.
It was incredible.
The way the light was hitting everything. And there was some moments... Bo Allen was in a really desperate state. Like when I tell you, like, you know when your friend's puking and he's retching, like to the point that like to his toenails like are flying out of his, and you feel so bad for the guy.
What can you do though?
Be more prepared. Be more prepared, Bo Allen.
He was so mad at me.
Be better.
Because we laughed. What are you going to do?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of sympathy coming out of us.
It's hardship. You don't get a lot of pure sympathy on that mountain.
No.
But, all right, so back to your gym.
Yes.
Do you think it helped you? I mean, obviously it helped you transition. And you talked about, purpose, and I've never asked you a lot of questions about this, but like, you went down a dark road.
Yeah.
So, like, when did you know, hey, I got to turn right?
I think, bro, this is actually a true story. So, like, night 3 in detox, I was, like, puking and shitting myself.
Yeah.
Like, didn't know up from down, day from night, like, was in a war against withdrawal. And, like, where I detoxed outside of Seattle, like, in this, like Providence hospital. It was definitely not a hotel. This thing was like they use old school ways of detoxing you, but I kind of needed to feel it.
What's an old school way?
So like barbiturates to come off of like certain opiates and benzos, rather than like sometimes they'll just taper you off benzos because it's a lot more gentle or whatever. But there was a part like I kind of needed that. And dude, it was heavy. And at one point I tried to get out of bed to take this food to the microwave, and I just couldn't even stand up, man. And like the broken plate shattered on the ground, and the nurses ran in, and I'm just like, I'm literally helpless. And they I thought they were trying to help me clean it up, but they like restrained me because they thought I was going to use the plate. Yeah. Like, which I get in the format that you're in.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad. And it was like, dude, it wasn't that many months ago that I was like playing for the Seahawks too. So like, how the fuck did I get here?
When did you get those pills? When did you start getting those pills?
I mean, I started hitting them like when I got the concussion in St. Louis, which ultimately like led to the release.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it was violent.
Yeah. I mean, I remember saying bye to you where you gave me the Hope Rock. Which is a fun story too.
Yeah, I bought a gas station ornament. You know,
Chris's locker looked like more trinkets, the white trash more trinkets than a Jersey gas station.
Yeah,
we'll come back to that, the Hope Rock. But I remember getting cut then, and then like it was just a heavy like I didn't cope, right? Like I think part of that, there was a couple things that evolved, right? But like, you know, what do I have without football was certainly a question. You know, even though I knew like. I mean, I had a college degree and I had opportunities. Like, it wasn't like I was a deadbeat, like football was my only path.
Well, you don't think that way.
You can't think
with your brain, with 100%. Your like active brain, but subconsciously sometimes your identity is telling you, like your ego is telling you, no, you ain't shit anymore.
100% is dark. And that feeds that. And so anyway, that was like a really heavy start of it. And then in Seattle, and I didn't play well in Seattle. Like it wasn't like, for me, like there's a couple of highlights for me I can think of, but there wasn't any consistency. And I think a lot of it was the coping.
Isn't it funny how insecure we are? And I had no idea you didn't play well in Seattle. You're one of my best friends. Like I was not paying attention to how you were playing in Seattle. When I'd see you on the field before the game, I just want to give you a hug.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
Like, and I wasn't like, how's David playing? It's like people don't give a shit about your most of your shit is like I still pick at my career and shit. You know, like I still think about things and I'm like, people aren't thinking about that shit. You're the only one thinking about it.
I think about like before training camp, like I always felt like there was a moment. Now this might be just like hitting the pillow or something where I'm like, do I have it?
Oh, every night.
You know what I mean?
Dude.
And like training camp is a little like just mental, like just mind trap of like, and I feel Gibson and I were just talking about this.
There's new guys.
Man, everything is so, there's so much out of your control, and the mental of all that, like it's warfare, man, within. Yeah. And I always think about that too, because those are things that I know like refined us, but those are things that like those were heavy, too. So anyway, the mental side for me was really where I didn't cope well, man. But back to that detox and coming out of that, there's a nurse that came in that night. Tina was her name, and she sat with me. I swear she like skipped shifts and stuff to like be there for me. And that like was the beginning. I swear in that moment I said, dude, okay, I'm gonna figure out where I'm gonna go. And that was like, dude, where's David able to be David in a different ecosystem and make an impact, you know? But I had to find like, where's my passion? And training was that. And then, you know, I had a couple great mentors that fostered that, and it was like bang, 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 bang. And I was off onto, you know, being able to connect. And there was a story that Howard Schultz, Starbucks, did that led to us being with Obama and then the Ellen show, and like the trickle down effect of all of that's led to big corporate sponsors. I mean, like the story piece is given a platform for these athletes to be able to stand up and be proud of their, you know, unique story and uncommon approach to what they're doing. And that's the type of people I want to be around, you know, like uncommon people that are real, people that don't want to, you know, just act like they have one identity. Yeah. People that are like, man, you can like a lot of different things and be good at a lot of different things.
Hell yeah, dude. So with all this, you know, we're all going through our ups and downs, even if on the surface, like when I see your profile picture on your website, I'm like, look at that dapper motherfucker. His hair looks good. He's got a suit on. He's got that David smile. Like, but everybody's wearing some shit. Like, you know what I mean? And on the surface, everything looks easy. Yeah. And it ain't easy for me. It ain't easy for you. No. Like, you know, I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy doing this pod is because sometimes we get to talk about shit and I'll randomly get a message and be like, I was struggling. I've been listening to your pod. Like, that's cool. It makes me feel normal or whatever. And that's why sharing your stories, like, I know it's kind of corny and everybody's doing it now, but everybody should be talking. Yeah. And like, you know, like it's corny for me to say, by corny, I don't mean the stories. I mean, it's corny for me to say this, but like people draw like comfort from knowing they're not alone. You know what I mean?
Dude, the human experience is pretty synonymous, bro. Yeah. And life doesn't discriminate whether you like what color you are, what your bank account says, where you come from. So like the net of all of that is like what we can find some levity. And like sometimes people need to laugh. Sometimes people need to hear you be like, dude, I struggle with this, you know? And like all of that is, I think about people like Nate Boyer, right?
Yeah, shout out
Nate. But like those are the types of people that I think make such an effect. And I strive to be, I admire people like that. I admire so many people in my life. I admire you, bro. And like the way you approach what you do, because it's intentional. Yeah. How many people are just okay with not making it intentional, not choosing what they want to do, not being in control?
Oh, I have no choice. I want to control it.
But with that comes, you know, powerful decision and then discipline to be able to execute.
So because we were talking about this is so funny. The other night we were at dinner, David came over, my parents had just gotten back in town, so there was this big convergence of people, and we were eating dinner, and Dave came up and hadn't seen my parents in a while. Yeah. So that was cool. And then we were just talking, and we got on the topic of drugs. And like, you know, my dad's pretty straight edge.
Big how.
And ayahuasca comes up because
how'd your dad say it?
He goes, no, all the other stuff, okay, David, but this ayahuasca seems like it's a little. And I was like, hey, he definitely hasn't secretly done ayahuasca. Because this is
heavy on
heavy. You can't say it like that, Dad. But like, how have, I don't know, psychedelics or, you know, that experience, where did you go for ayahuasca?
Yeah, I've done it a number of times, man. I've done it out of the country. I've done it stateside in some private groups.
Is it intentional? Like, it's man, not like I just want to cross it off my bucket list.
This is not a recreational,
right? Like, exactly.
It's an experience. It's not like eating mushrooms and go to a festival, a concert. Or, you know.
Exactly.
And I also think mushrooms can be used in a ceremonial, like in a very intentional, clinical way.
If you're in the woods.
Well, nature.
Not if you're slamming 10 beers and
no. Nature is critical. 5. I feel like, and setting, man, being with trusted people. This is what we were talking about with your dad, because your dad's like, no way I'm in a circle with a bunch of weirdos singing, you know?
Yeah, my dad's like, I'm good with my glass of red wine.
Yeah. But
But the ayahuasca thing, you're doing it for a reason.
Yeah, I think like you got to prepare in the way that you prepare and the way that you come into that very earnestly. Like I've done it in some groups of some remarkable people, man, and Jake Plummer being one of them. I know we share that mutual friend. And for me, like the deep experience, and when you're with a bunch of like men in the alphas, like I was in a group of amazing warriors, and I felt like that like gave me permission to like really kind of surrender the experience. I know Aaron Rodgers just talked about his whole thing and whatever, but it has given me guidance and also just sort of like a different perspective. Yeah. Like, and part of it isn't always like great, because here's what I say, like whether it's that or 5-MeO, like it's hard to come back from that experience and be like, so how was your job today? Like there's a plane of like, once you've experienced it, you've pierced behind the veil, you're like, all right, how do I relate back?
What's actually important? Yeah.
And that's really positive. You can make, dude, effective change. But, there's times where like, dude, I was literally like my insides being ripped apart, like in a way that like showed me that like, dude, where I was like storing just like, I think for part of my football career too was like driven by this like masochistic kind of like, like the motivating factor was this, like, you're not good enough. You're not like,
you're always pounding this rock and it's just not going to break.
Yeah.
Like, no amount of pounding that rock is going to break the rock.
Yeah. And so that like need to feel enough was like, dude, the breakthrough for me was like, and it's like grandma, like imagine, bro, have you ever been diving? Like a deep sea or underwater?
No.
Okay,
I was thinking about the cliff divers in the grill at Rick's. No, I haven't been to Rick's yet. Go ahead.
If it's dark, wherever you turn your light or your head torch, right? You're in the woods. It's dark. It like illuminates whatever
cliff
that
divers
is.
Are cool.
They are cool, dude.
The guys, they're up there really high.
I'll go with you.
Okay, go ahead.
But I end up. She's like illuminating. Like things like you're just like she. You're
saying the mother ayahuasca thing. It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah, it's very real.
Did you see a serpent?
I saw a lot of jaguars. At one point, I had like what am I supposed to do with these paws? Like type of thing where you're like, all right.
You felt like an animal.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the jaguar has like this rich tradition. Where I was in Costa Rica, like Peruvian was the host and the shaman that we had. And anyway, I'd say this, like I don't encourage anybody to dip their toe into any of that stuff if they don't feel like they're called to it. One, two, have right set and setting, have done their research, have prepared in a way that makes it sacred. Because I think there is a lot to get out of it. You know, the lowered inhibition, the ability to like see things from a different perspective. Yeah. It is like 1,000 nights of therapy in one night.
Yeah.
Which is rapid and it's a lot. And you might throw up.
It might, but not
probably.
For sure.
I mean, there's been times where I hadn't, but there's other times where like purged a lot.
So the process is you go down there, you meet a shaman, right? Or a shaman probably before you go down there, right?
I did.
Like you hear from somebody else or you met somebody in the States and they hook you up with you got to go down there because it's legal down there, right?
Correct.
So you go down there. And what happens? Like, take me through the training camp. I need an itinerary.
Yeah, the itinerary is actually, it is. There's a format to the whole thing, dude. Yeah. But when again, there's a preparation phase. There's you coming into circle. So ceremony is in a maloka, like a thatched roof, open air, which is beautiful. And like the jungle is alive. And there's like, it's just now like sunsetting because they don't pour before sunsets. So everything has like a lineage to it, right? And it's actually marvelous to like the just the magic, the alchemy that occurs in the songs. So the Icaros are these ancient ancestral songs. And so Inai is this shaman. She's amazing. And she pours, and so she whistles the Icaros out of the bottle before she serves. And like we honor, like, dude, it's a really special about hour to hour and a half before you even begin being served. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, like as the sun sets, you're served, and she brings you up one at a time and like says a prayer over you. It's a very like special experience. Like, dude, it's special. And she has like an altar right in front of her, and there's like, crystals and beauty like all around it. One of the circles, everyone was asked to bring flowers. So there's this bouquet of like, 30,000 like different types of flowers, insane like setting. And then we all take it, and then we start to get into the night, and she begins to sing, and she plays different instruments and guides you through and knows how to move the energy. And sometimes she's coming over and fanning over you, and depending on, I mean, I've watched her move, and like this whole side of the room will purge, like the energy that like, and then all of a sudden like it'll change and it'll move over to this side, and like the way people are experiencing it's like this crazy energetic dance. And it's like Inception. It's like a dream within a dream type of thing where you're like experiencing different things, but the support that you feel and the way that it moves throughout the night is just fascinating. And then I remember my first ceremony was with Rashad Evans. Rashad's my brother, like, dude, unbelievable.
I've heard good things about him.
And Anai ends the night with this water ceremony. She went out, there was snow outside. This wasn't in Costa Rica, actually. This was in Colorado. Side note. There's always ways.
Yeah,
there's always ways. But we're in the snow, and she goes out and she dips into this like open stream and brings this water back.
Yeah.
And then she serves everyone after this night. And it's so powerful. I feel like I'm in an MGMT music video.
Dude, and you probably needed that water bad.
I needed that water bad. And then she brings all of those flowers she had brought into a sound bowl and taken all the petals off. So there's like 25 pounds of flower petals in this sound bowl. Yeah. And she walks around and she's like showering people as she sings, like and singing their name into these songs. And I'll never forget it. I'm like getting showered with these flowers and like loving it. And I look up and I see Rashad Evans, and he's like,
he's having fun.
He's having fun, and he's looking at me like it just feels so. And I'm like, this is cool.
So you you can feel like your party. I mean, it's obviously much deeper than a party, but
no. I mean, most of that's at the end of the night.
Rashad Evans sounded like he was having fun.
That's the end of the night. So you're gonna go through it for a good 6 to 8 hours.
Here's the way I think about ayahuasca. Obviously, here's some words that come to mind for me: powerful,
yes,
fulfilling, like violent at times, terrifying at times. Would you say that that's
all four are valid,
and blissful at times?
Yeah,
like all those things. It sounds like, but I do. I imagine like a night vision camera, like Blair Witch style, and people are just puking everywhere on the ground, and like it's a lot of suffering. Or is that what's the feeling like? Can you describe the feeling in that moment? Not what you took from it, but like how does it feel?
There's times it feels incredibly heavy, like viscerally heavy.
Yeah.
And also like, I mean, dude, it doesn't taste great. Like it tastes like a root, like a deep black licorice, like thick. And sometimes there's even chunks
in
it. So like, like you're not going to like not taste it, especially if you purge.
Yeah.
And so like there's a feeling of nausea that comes with just from the like effect of the concentrated substance you just took, but you have to try to keep it down.
It's like that shroom puking.
Yeah.
But
like,
worse, probably a lot
but heavy.
worse.
Yeah, but heavier. But there's also, here's one thing I'll say, that back to the purging thing, which I know people hate throwing up, and people hate throwing up in front of people. Like it's just not.
I'd rather throw up in front of people than shit in front of people.
Well, that's fair. I mean, hopefully you don't poop in front of people. Oh, you would dance. You would dance for sure.
Do I have to dance?
You don't have to dance. Okay. You don't have to leave your mat, but you would dance for sure. I could see you dancing like a cave bear.
Yeah.
100%. But the puking thing, if you've had times where you're like, dude, I just can't do this. If you give yourself permission to like do that in front of other people in a way that like accepts, like there's something about being vulnerable in that piece.
But what about the anxiety? I'm not worried about puking on people. What I'm worried about is like the massive panic of being trapped in this state. And like, I just can't get out.
I think you get
like imagine a really bad trip.
Yeah.
Or like a really, somebody gave me 1,000 milligrams of, marijuana.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just trapped.
I think it's less consuming. I think you get what you need, not necessarily what you wanted. But there's a way that it's facilitated that is supposed to be exactly what you're supposed to receive. And I know that sounds real woo-foo, man.
Woo-foo.
But there's a truth to it, and there's a way that like you have to come into that state with open, man. You cannot have it. You can have an intention or whatever.
Bro, I can do anything for 12 hours. How long does this last?
So, dude,
would you rather do some at night or ayahuasca?
Both have their moments. The Ibogaine was like 18 18 hours. It was like the heaviest, craziest. It comes from the iboga root. That's the wildest. And then the 5-MeO is the like the toad venom.
Yeah.
This drug that you smoke. That is the rocket ship.
Have you done DMT?
Yeah, so that's 5-MeO is DMT. I've never done artificial DMT.
Yeah.
But I mean, same thing, like the God particle, like this. I mean, that was the most significant experience like I've
DMT.
ever had. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was the most difficult. Like you go to the void, like there is no thingness, death. And then you end up like coming back and you're like,
what's that void feel like?
The scariest thing you've ever felt, and then the freest thing you've ever felt, and then there's this like moment where like all of a sudden everything is white light, like to the point that you just realize like all things get reclaimed to eternity and infinity, man. Like you're like, it's all. I remember Mike Tyson talking about it and not wanting to come back from that, like when he was in that moment and then like slowly faded out of it. But it was like being reborn, man.
Yeah, so when you die, you're going to feel good.
I genuinely believe like everything is reclaimed, man, when we pass. Like
reclaimed by what?
In perfect order, man, is what it was supposed to be.
We just don't know what that order is.
Yeah, I mean, we're not supposed to. I think that's where faith comes in. And people can identify with different ways that thing's reclaimed. But I'll tell you what, the psychedelic side for me and like brain stuff and otherwise, like what Jake has done and what we're doing with Umbo, the mushrooms. I mean, it doesn't have to be psychedelics.
Dude, Umbo, by the way, because I was raving about this, the mushroom tinctures, adaptogens, like I'll take all types of shit and not feel any difference. People will be like, this will fix your life. But that shit's the real deal, man.
No doubt, man. The Jake is the real deal. And Umbo is I'm excited about what, like, when you make products the right way and they have a good quality concentrate, you should feel a difference.
Yeah.
These are potent substances. You should, right?
Yeah.
So it shows you like the quality of products that are out there, claiming adaptogens and other stuff. And then what Umbo's doing that is the real deal. And we didn't skip any corners. And it's an expensive product for a reason.
And for people listening, if you like, we're not talking about like psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah.
Which we also love.
Yeah, these are functional mushrooms. These are everyday.
These are like, they're
cordyceps, lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a host of them. And
they all do different things specifically.
The formulation is great, man. And I think, as we've gotten older too, like we realize like, this and a little bit of that is a little bit better than.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. You're writing a book?
Yeah, man. Book project is in order.
Golly.
That's why I came out to Charlottesville. Cheers to Seaville.
Yeah, I didn't want to break the news, but yeah, cheers to you becoming an author.
I'm working with a really cool writer out here, Anna Catherine, who's a mutual friend. Yeah.
Shout out.
Book it's an interesting thing because there's like, it's not a memoir, it's not a self-help book. What I'm talking about is the people that I've served over the last decade, the things they've taught me and some of the experiences that I've learned from, right? Like there is stuff in my past and things that like football was a great pathway, but the most important stuff is what I've learned over the last decade. So, I think it'll appease to a sports fan.
Yeah.
Somebody that wants some funny, like random, like at all costs type of football stories. Like remember the oil change?
Yeah.
The football at all costs, like having to pass a drug test.
Oh, yeah.
Using the catheter to use oil change.
Yes. Can you tell us about that?
I mean, it'll be in the book.
Okay, it's in the book.
Yeah,
that's good.
I know. It's a story, and it's true. I promise you that. But at all costs, like I'm telling you, there's times we had to do whatever we had to do to.
Whatever. You never had a fake dick, though.
No. I mean, it was
a Wizinator.
I always laughed when like the black dudes in the locker room that would have a white fake dick to go in to do the pee test.
You saw dudes with the fake dick?
Yeah, college guys.
In Idaho, guys had the fake dick?
Yeah, I mean,
really?
It only worked until it didn't when the black dude took it in and it was ruined it for everybody.
Like, golly, dude.
Like,
you got a pink dick?
Melanoma thing, homie. I got a skin condition.
Yeah, I never saw somebody actually try that.
It worked, I think.
It was the cranberry juice for everybody, the niacin or whatever.
25 guys in the sauna.
Just itching from all the niacin and
flushing.
But go ahead. You're writing a book.
Back to the book. No, man. The book is going to be a fun project. Like, I don't know if anyone's listened or read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Like, Goggins' audio book where they, like, in between chapters, they, like, kind of give some other stuff. We're going to have that kind of format.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I'll have...
you met him?
Huh?
Have you met David?
I have not met him.
Seems like he lives it.
Oh, yeah, I think he's as real as yeah.
That's the air I'm breathing.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
100.
That's refreshing.
But no, I think that telling your story can be like a little bit stripping.
Yeah.
But at the same time, cathartic and feel like I'm I don't know, I'm leaving something, dude, that for my kids too.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're absolutely right about that.
If nothing else, there's at least that.
I don't read a lot. I'm going to read that book.
We'll send you the audiobook.
Okay. Have you learned anything about yourself writing that book?
Yeah. It's been stripping. Yeah. It's been like, it's felt like last night we were supposed to hang out and I passed out because I was just zonked, man.
And I was here doing this shit. So.
No, it's just, I think it's about being really transparent and authentic. Because I think before, if I thought about it, I was like trying to present it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, man, I just want to share this.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I think people are reached. It's receivable. You know, whether I do it from the stage speaking or in the gym, man, it's about, helping people understand where you've come from and how you're connected. I think the more people do that, dude, the better place we're going to be in.
I'm with you, brother. David Vobora, thank you for the time. The book, when are we going to be able to, like a long time from now? This isn't like a plug. Like this is a book.
Yeah. This is more of the conversation of what the focus is for it. But yeah, it'll be sometime in 23, hopefully, but we're going to push into it.
And how can people help the gym?
Man, Adaptive Training Foundation is just something you should follow on any social platform. I mean, it's not, you're going to get a hit of inspiration. The stories are powerful. There's always we just dropped 70 limited edition acid wash tees.
Your merch is good.
And you know what? It was our athletes themselves took it out back and did it all themselves. So everyone's awesome. Individual. It's stuff like that. Back to intentional, back to, I think I'm people don't realize these are my friends. I had a veteran after one of our guys took his own life that this dude lived with us for 8 months and became one of my best friends, you know? And that's the life that we've chosen. And it's such a joy to be around, but it's every 9 weeks we get a new class in and there's new people so it takes its toll.
You're giving something, but you're gaining something.
Totally.
That's how it works.
Yeah. No, right? It's totally, it's wealth.
You're trading your life a little bit, but you're gaining a life, dude. And you're gaining all these friends in this community and you're doing an untold amount of good things for them and they're doing the same for you. So it's a really dope concept. And I've been to the gym. Bro. It's a beautiful place. Great people down there, so check them out. Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. Besides that, if you feel compelled to buy a t-shirt or give, that's awesome, because obviously everything's cost-free to the people that we serve, but it's really I'll encourage anybody listening, if you're talking about community, locker room, finding that group to do hard things with, that's where you're going to find merit and consistency and get your dopamine hits there, Yep. That's a good drug to be on. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Yeah, man. David Vobora, Mr. Relevant is what I call him. Thanks for joining us, bro. Cheers. Liquid Death. Murder your thirst. Give us some money, please. Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.